Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for February 7th, 2020. Qs down 0.54 and SPY down 0.62. So looking at today's market, we did have a bullish bias coming into today. We got a little bit of a gap down. All right, gap down. Initially got bought, rallied back up, but you can see we're actually going to be closing week here. Okay, so what we've been watching for is that every time we get the hourly trend to start to break is to expect some kind of short-term pullback. Okay, and that's what we're going to be doing going into Monday as well, right? Notice here we saw kind of the uptrend break. I remember this coming into this day, we had a short-term bearish bias, right? It did kind of reach the target, right? But as long as the downtrend remained intact there on the hourly, right, we were waiting to see, when that bearish bias might end and transition out, because we acknowledged that the larger time frames are still bullish, right? Still an uptrend here. And we're not getting either of the scenarios, which is kind of acceleration into the all-time highs and far and extended away, and we're not getting the big damaging disaster gap down. So it looks like we're due for, based on the way that the hourly is breaking here today, another short-term pullback. Now if that short-term pullback becomes more severe, we start to actually break more of that daily uptrend, then we can start talking about a longer term downtrend and a top. So I know I got the question today, is this kind of lack of follow through, this like new high here, is that the top? Is that really bearish because we poked above and then we didn't follow through? I understand the idea and the concept behind it, and it makes sense. But if we were to say every time we got a new high but didn't close at the new high, or even resulted in a red bar, that we should be calling the top, we'd probably be wrong dozens of times before getting it right. So in other words, I think it's a little bit too early to tell. So it is possible with each new high that it is going to be the top, but right now, based on the pullback that we're getting here, I think it's too early to say. Okay, and I know that doesn't really make it so that I get to be short at the very, very top, but that's not really the goal, right? Okay, so we are underneath today's low, going to be going to more of a neutral bias here, because we are going to be into this support area. We'll see if we get some follow through. That could be the start of a short-term bearish bias, okay? Much in the way that we've done it in the past, right? Once we were out of that recent hourly downtrend, right, we were bullish, 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 bullish. Today, we're seeing that hourly trend start to be challenged again. So underneath today's low, going to be neutral. We'll see that might happen on Monday. That could happen on Tuesday. Or if we go right back up, right back to bullish. So just going to be following the trend here. It's looking like the trend is being challenged a little bit today. So going into Monday, if we break underneath today's low, neutral. If we get some nice follow through to the downside, we can treat the next sell setup, the next base breakdown, as a short opportunity. Okay, so that's going to be the read on the Qs and SPY going into Monday. All right, so probably still need a couple setups away from a bearish bias, but we are starting to challenge the uptrend here on the hourly, so neutral underneath today's low. All right, so let's take a look at some of today's plays. I thought today was probably the best gaps list that we had all week, and maybe one of the best that we've had all earnings season as well. I'm anticipating that next week we'll have some pretty good gaps as well. All right, so we'll go through some of the plays from today. All right, I know there was a call on the TTWO this morning. Let's just take a look at these daily charts. We're going to be focusing on the gaps, right? Nice shock value was a green bar, and then breaking underneath support, right? Underneath all this support into a grind here. There is going to be some support throughout, but nice play at the open. on the TTWO there. All right. And then also nice play on the Uber, right? Similar. You can see how we're gapping over a wide range red. A little bit mismanaged on my part, but look at the way that it gapped underneath all these bars, looking so bearish on the weekly and the monthly. So these gaps, they say that we're getting some good opportunities here, and even underneath all that support. So really, really nice on the ZGNX. You might have played the AVTR with me. I want to bring it up here because I think this should not have been played short. WWE, what happens on the day that it did the big gap? Got bought. Gapped again, also got bought. What also did we have this week? FNKO, and was a pretty nice play. So that is something that I think, is a big part of why we do the market wrap. So yeah, this got bought pretty nicely there right off the open. Is not just, to prepare for the market, know what the market bias is, but also keep a tab on what is working and sometimes what is not working. And I think, yeah, that definitely should have not been played on this MYGN short here. Because it was the gap a little bit excessive, and as we've seen, especially at the open, big gaps are getting bought. Okay, so if things change, we start to see more big gaps fall through to the downside, things like that, we can always adjust, but always got to be keeping our eyes open for what is working, what is following through, and how things are acting, right? So even though I like the idea that maybe all these people who have been in it long might be trapped by today's gap, on the day of the gap, especially at the open, as we've seen, a lot of the big gaps have been getting bought. Okay. Now, coming into lunch, there were only two long ideas here. The PFSI as a base breakout for a higher, and the TWOU. So I really like seeing that. Of course, we want to trade all day as long as there are good opportunities. So getting more afternoon plays is great as well. So that's why I am stressing to you that I think next week should be a pretty good week. Okay, I know we are in the thick of earnings season. I think we're kind of right here now in the very, in the middle of it. And so I think, maybe towards the end of the week or the week after, things may slow down a little bit. But I think we still have a lot to look forward to next week as far as good opportunities, nice gaps to work with, all right, and nice big plays to be had. Okay? All right. And so, yeah, going into Monday, just keep in mind, underneath today's low, going to be looking more neutral because we are going to be, and for me, going into Monday. All right. Hope you had a nice week this week. All right. And then are looking forward to next week. All right. Have a great weekend, everyone. I will talk to you on Monday.